channel. Alright guys, welcome to another episode of Iron Rounds, and we are continuing on our Monster Bash. And what better way to continue on with some chemical based characters. Alright, round 1, environment. Alright, let's talk about Clayface. The pros on that end, it's pretty clear. If he gets near clay based substance, he can increase his mass along with his strength levels. Abomination is strong enough to match blows with Hulk, but when Hulk gets his rage up, Abomination falls. The rules would then apply here for Clayface. He has no limit if the environment has what he needs to gain more power from making his expansion limitless. Even without clay material around, he can still gain his powers from eating humans. That's right, another benefit to his might. Now, of course, there are some cons and downfalls. Clayface, there are other elements that can harm him, so environment does help, but as long as the element being thrown at him doesn't pack a serious punch, he should be good to go. Right, now let's talk about Abomination. The pros on his end is there's a theory that Abomination might be able to gain more power from gamma radiation, and here's why that might just do the trick. For starters, he's made up of gamma. The second is the dozens of examples from other gamma ray characters such as She-Hulk and Hulk. Now I'm saying that it's possible based on these examples. Though not shown often in the comics, the possibility is still there based on both examples I just gave. He gets close to gamma rays in his environment, and he may be able to step up his muscle game to another level beyond what Hulk and he used to do. So pretty much when he used to match blows with Hulk, at this point, if he can get gamma in himself, he might be able to actually equal or overpower Hulk in the sense. Now, of course, there are cons to Abomination. There's also a likely chance that gamma radiation doesn't really do anything, and Clayface can still gain momentum using humans as energy food source. But ultimately, there has to be one clear winner for this round, and my pick is Clayface. He's an element. It's hard to get around a character like that who can gain more from more of the same element, while Abomination's radiation is iffy. Alright, round 2, preparation. Let's start off with Clayface. Let's talk about the pros. He can gain some juice the size of buildings in advance to allow him to be the biggest amongst the two, making him harder to drop. He can disguise himself as any person he wants, which means he might be able to pretend to be Hulk or Betty Ross to play an innocent bystander and then surprise him with an attack. He'll have time to weigh out his options. Now, of course, here are the cons. There's not much but 2 options Clayface can use to his advantage, so picking one over the other might result in his demise. So there's a gamble when it comes to whether he's going to pretend to be a character or someone else, or he's going to become a bigger size than the both of them. Now, let's talk about Abomination's pros. It might appear not a lot can be done on Abomination's half, but that's not really the case. Let's discuss his beginning. He destroyed the machine that could make any competition besides Hulk against him. He almost defeated Silver Surfer and took on Thor. He thought of maneuvers to place Hulk in vulnerable positions. Abomination does have the mind capable enough of finding a way around a character like Clayface, and if he can adapt during sudden battles, time would truly give him a leg up. Now, of course, there are cons. There's not much he can do to prepare. Clayface can become massive given the right resources. So if they were to battle it out where the fight went elsewhere favoring Clayface, Abomination won't have much to work with. Ultimately, though, there has to be one clear winner to this round, and my pick is Abomination. It might seem hard to believe, but here's why. Of course, Clayface has a few options to go his way for preparation, but Abomination has one thing Clayface doesn't, and that's military training and military skills and military mind. Abomination can obtain military information regarding Clayface, which means he can learn about his shape-shifting abilities and how he might turn it into some than he's familiar with, or his element, which Abomination can keep Clayface clear from, along with a much more richer environment where it's more of a weakness to Clayface rather than a strength. So what I mean is, he can learn his weakness and then find an environment where he can gain more of an upper hand during their fight. So preparation does come in handy in that end. Bottom line, his military background is a big help against a theater of a thief actor, depending on which character background you're talking about. Alright, round 3. Get it done. Alright, now let's talk about Clayface. He can gain power from certain environments, making him capable of overpowering him. He can shape into people Abomination might find as allies, and then element of surprise his butt. He's almost impossible to put down without the proper weapons, and can do so much more using his body than Abomination could. Now the cons on his end is he has been defeated by non-superpowered heroes before, like Batman, which means there is always a slight chance Abomination might have his number, given Abomination's biggest foe is Hulk, who definitely is not considered a powerless individual. Alright, now let's talk about Abomination's pros. He has fought characters of cosmic and godlike capabilities, Omega level characters, and then some. It is safe to say his resume of fights should be enough to illustrate how going toe to toe with him is a mistake. He's still pretty dang strong, which means he could probably get a move in to keep Clayface tied up for a time, or drag him away from somewhere he might find where he can get extra juice. Now here are the cons to Abomination. He too has lost to characters you wouldn't say were an Omega level group like She-Hulk. Now granted, she's still pretty strong and tough to take on, but isn't the same level as her cousin Hulk. Getting defeated by a character based on technique isn't exactly a good look. Not to mention, Clayface has learned how to fight from Batman, so he may have a one-up on him, just like She-Hulk did. Ultimately though, there has to be one clear winner to this round, and my pick is Clayface. Now, some of you might be upset at the outcome, because how can Batman villain defeat a Hulk villain, especially when that Hulk villain has shown to be consistent with his fighting capabilities? But let me explain my reasonings. A fight like this, if it came down to good old-fashioned fist fight, for sure would go Abomination's way, as he clearly shows to be difficult to put down in a one-on-one. But Clayface has more than one-on-one to offer during a fight with this guy. He can shapeshift into characters, toss giant objects at him, and the most important one is, I believe, is the ability to suffocate him. Remember, Clayface can remain in a liquid type state, which means he can shove parts of himself down Abomination's breathing holes, causing him to lose oxygen and quite possibly finishing him off, or long enough to air him out and then continue putting the work on him. If he finds an environment with his same element, he can grow massively. He can grow massively and become even stronger, and given Abomination isn't known to stay in one area for too long, it might only be a matter of time before they find an environment that suits Clayface. Alright guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you guys did, please share, like, and subscribe. As always, No Press fam, we really appreciate you guys keeping it 900 subs. Peace. Shout out to all my content supporters. We're not working together, but we like to give credit where credit is due. Ivan the Unstoppable for all the knowledge of comic feats, Watch Mojo for origins and for all the background videos, Comic Historian, Comics Explained, and key issues. Go ahead and check them out and tap into the world of comics by supporting other creators. Link to channels will be in the description below.